evening, lamb chops. It is I, your favorite fluffy vampire, Bluma. Yeah, y'all excited for book club? Ah. Hi, 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 hi. Wow. I'm so sorry, Pliskin, that you won't be there for the live Salem drawing. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, it's Bluma. Hell yeah. Alright. Y'all ready for the book? Oh, let's see. What happened last time? Oh yeah, we learned what happened at the town meeting. We learned how the Sonozakis... I mean, we kind of already knew, but like... Pliskin's got a sad mustache. Yeah, they do. We kind of learned how the Sonozakis, like, control everything. You know, they are the Yakuza. They run this shit. And we know that they know, main character man, Akasaka-san. Pretty sure that's his name. They know he's in town, and they know that I am, in fact, working for the Security Defense Force in Tokyo. So, you know, they're kind of like, I'm not saying you should kill him, but, like, if you do, make it look like an accident, you know? And we know that Rika knows who we are as well. Book club time. Hell yeah, Mango. Yeah, I have no idea what this is. Yeah, we'll sit down, shut up, and read with us, alright? You'll figure it out, it's true. Nah, we're on book 4, so I'm sad to say, Pliskin, I think some of this might go over you, but I'll do my best to answer questions if you got them. And let's see, man, this arc is taking a while to get back to— Shut up, Muffin. No one wants to hear about Oshi. No one cares about the Oshi arc, because there isn't one. Stop it. Stop it! What? I'm shook. I won't lie, it does feel kind of weird. I never thought I'd say this, but I do miss Keiichi's schizophrenic paranoia episodes. Those were always so fun to read. It's weird reading from the perspective of someone who's like keeping a cool head, you know what I mean? But we better get used to it, you know. This is the final question arc. As far as I know, none of the other books will be from Keiichi's point of view again. As far as I know. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Like I said, I watched the anime. I haven't read the books, which is why we're reading the books. What? Hello, Anymatter. Welcome, welcome. Wow, we got so many here for book club. Oh my god. What, we're done with Copium? We might be. I don't think any of the answer arcs are from his perspective, because again, he suffers from so much schizophrenia and paranoia that, like, we won't get any answers if we see the story from his point of view again. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure all the other books will be from somebody else's point of view. Pretty sure. Because that's kind of what happened in the anime, too. We just stopped seeing it from, like, his perspective and started seeing it from everyone else's. IDK, I got plenty of copium-related answers. Yeah, facts. That's fair. That's fair. But yeah. We'll get back into it. Honestly, we're probably getting close to being halfway done with this book. This is the shortest one out of all of them, from what I remember, right? So I think, honestly, we're like halfway through this one. Hold on. I actually want to check now. Tomate. Okay. Oh, I pulled up, like, the fucking achievements to see how many I was missing, and I just saw Mahjong Prodigy. I'm like, did I pull up the wrong game? Alright, let's see. So it's probably one for reading the tips. There's probably one for finishing. Oh yeah, so then 1, 2, 3. Wait, there's only 3 chapters left? Guys. Guys, there's this book. There's this chapter, I mean, and then 2 more chapters and we're done. Oh my god. Choto moment, yeah. How many are there? Chapters or book? Yes. In this book, there are, it looks like 6 chapters. Other books have had like 12, 13 chapters. I think there's like 9 or 10 books. Let me double check. Higurashi. Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 books total. This is book 4. We're halfway through book 4. But this, Pliskin, to help answer your question, some of these words might be confusing. Higurashi is a really, what's the word? It's like puzzle, suspense, mystery. So the first 4 books, I'll say the first 3 books, were all from the perspective of our main character, Keiichi Maibara. And he came to this town, and some weird things happened. And we learned that, like, the people maybe descended from demons. Every year on Watsunagashi night, someone dies and someone disappears. And it's like, there's that mystery. There's the mystery of, why did... Oh, that's something else. We die at the end of every book, and then the time cycle just starts over. So why is time looping? Why... I think, what were the main questions, guys? The first one was, what was the first question that we were supposed to remember? Oh, God. The first question was something along the lines of, how did Keiichi die? Or who removed his suicide note after everyone was dead? Yeah, and then the book 2 was Mion and Shion's deal. We were supposed to ask, how is Mion dead 2 weeks before we saw her? And the third book was, how did Keiichi survive the gas leak when he should have been the first one to die? And this book is going to give us another question, but I think you guys are catching on to what the question might be, is that, how the fuck did Rika know that about me? How did Rika know? How did... What? Ha? Yeah, and so those are like the main questions. And so then the next 4 books are going to be giving us answers, and then the 9th book is going to be wrapping up the story. So we are seeing these questions from Keiichi's perspective because he's new in town. He's the new kid. And so he doesn't know anything, so every book is just kind of explaining to him this or that, and when the time loops again, he gets more information on this or that, but he doesn't remember from the last time loop, but we do, and, you know, maybe some other things. People were getting close. You guys were getting really close with your guesses and stuff. I remember in the last book, some people were really close to figuring it out. At least that question. Oh yeah, the other question from the 3rd book. That wasn't, like, the question, but a question was definitely, like, how is Satoko's uncle still alive when we buried him? Why was there an empty space where we buried the body? Time loop. Yeah, I don't... It's the best thing I can think of for that word, as to why time resets every time Keiichi dies. But yeah, no. Anyway... Let's get into it. Once we finish this, we'll be over halfway done with this book. The final question arc. Oh my god, I'm so excited to get to the answer books. Alright, anyway, sorry. Let's get in there. Let's get in it. Let's get into it. I was yapping away. What was bro waffling about? Oh, you know, death. I had a restless night's sleep. I did nothing but turn over repeatedly during a night that seemed like it lasted for an eternity. I've retained none of this, but I'm excited. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Bluma casually got... Oi! I never gaslit you guys once! You were the guys who were like... You took, like... Like, I said a sentence, and you took 2 words out, and you're like, oh, well, Bluma said this. And I'm like, Bluma never said shit. Bluma asked if you guys thought that was Mion or Shun, and you... Do not cap me! Do not! You guys were reading the book with me! You cannot! I literally said, do you think they're the same person? Yes or no? And you all took that as, they are the same person. I never once said Mion and Shion were the same person. You no. Bruh. I can't believe this shit. Will I gaslight? Never. Exactly. See? Pliskin gets it. Wait. God damn. Politician asked like, hey, wait. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. It's a great argument, but have you considered my counter argument? Nuh-uh. Oh god. Goddamn. Goddamn. Fuck you mean nuh-uh. The fuck you mean nuh-uh? I never gaslit you guys. You all came to the conclusion, somehow, on your own, that Mion and Shion were the same person. I never once said they were the same person. I just asked what you guys thought. Blue Moon gaslighting. Isn't that interesting? Blue Moon called out, ooh, ah, eepy sheepy. I'm just saying, you know, like, ooh, that's strange, isn't it? That, like, the police thought she was dead for 2 weeks, but yet there she was. Like, they're never in the same room, so it didn't make sense. See? At least Jose's being honest that you guys just didn't catch on that they were twins. Oh my god. Riled up. We didn't even read the first page yet. God damn. Oh, even then I eventually fell asleep at some point, not realizing how high in the sky the sun had risen. I shook off the urge to go back to sleep. It was then that I noticed the phone was ringing. Definitely not villain dialogue. Oi. What a start to the stream, right? Can't believe I'm getting grilled alive by chat. I can't believe this shit. I thought we were fam, but you're not even bro. The time was almost 10:30 in the morning. It was clearly too late for a wake-up call. Akasaka-san? Good morning. Akasaka-san? Good morning. It's Oishi. Waking up to the sound of Oishi's voice was a little too much of a shock. My delicate ears were ringing. But thanks to that shock, I was suddenly wide awake. Hello? Good morning. Could it be you just woke up? Even though you're on assignment, it's still not good to be asleep during regular business hours. You're absolutely right. I'll be more careful in the future. I have another tidbit that you might want to wake up you even more. There is something interesting mixed in the lost and found at the Hinamizawa police box. Lost and found. Let's leave the details for when you get here. You think you'll be able to make it before noon? No, I'll be there right away. Oishi already knew what my mission was, since Oishi said it was something that would wake me up. It was hard to believe that that would be irrelevant to me. Honestly speaking, judging by the information from Sato-san yesterday, knowing that my cover was already blown, I couldn't wander to and from Hinamizawa carelessly. In other words, my investigation was at an impasse. Oishi sounds different. I'm trying my best. I cannot do a middle-aged, gruff, scruff, smoking detective man, okay? I cannot. Simply impossible. Finally back. Stop it, Muffin. I know you like Oishi, but I fucking hate him. Ooh, Bluma voice acting? I try my best. Oh, that was something else in this book. So this is like the first book where we've had a main character that was not Keiichi. So Akasaka is brand new to this book. He was sent here to investigate a missing person and got wound up in the Yakuza, and the Yakuza know it's him, and the Yakuza are part of the Sonozaki, and guess what? The Sonozaki run Hinamizawa, and Hinamizawa is where all the books happen, so that's what we're doing here. Does the LVI for all? It's great. Aw, shucks, thanks. I try really hard. There goes out the immersion. I'm sorry. Shame she doesn't like the MCO. Oh my god. God damn. If there was some information there that could put me back on trail, that would be nothing less than a stroke of good fortune. After vigorously washing my face, I pulled on my jacket and hailed a taxi, heading towards the Okinomiya police station. Oh, you're here. The genius mahjong player has arrived. My apologies for being late. So, exactly what popped up? With absolutely no intention of reminiscing about last night's mahjong game, I pressed him to get to the point. Ooshi, anticipating that I would act that way, cut into the chase without resistance. Like I said earlier, something arrived from the Hinamizawa police lost and found this morning. Lost items that were turned over to the police box were sent to Okinomiya Station after paperwork was filled out. Ooshi pulled out a plastic bag from the drawer and laid out the labeled contents on the desk. Is that a wallet? Indeed. There was small change inside, but no bills. We thought that a pickpocket threw it away after pulling out the contents. At first. I didn't understand how this wallet, so far removed from Tokyo, could possibly be related to the kidnapping. If it had drawn Ooshi's attention, it would have to do something dramatic, like if the wallet belonged to the missing grandchild. But that would be absurd. Like something that convenient would happen. If that was it, then there was probably initials written on the wallet. Like the initials of Toshiki Inugai, the minister's grandson, T.I. Thinking like that, at this point I didn't suppose that this wallet was something that could get Ooshi so excited. Ooshi, after pulling the pair of disposable plastic gloves, handed me a pair of the same. I didn't feel that this wallet was so much an important thing, so I had my doubts as to whether there was any point in putting on the gloves. However, I didn't want Ooshi's intentions to go to waste, so I put them on. Ooshi opened up the plastic bag and pulled it out, showing me the back. As I had imagined, there were initials engraved there. But it was slightly more detailed than what I had thought, with Toshiki I marked on it. Ooshi grinned at me with a look on his face that said, "See?" We can't confirm from what this belongs to the minister's grandson, I informed him calmly. This wallet was irrelevant. It was nothing more than Ooshi's overeagerness. First of all, there was absolutely no way in this distant locale that a missing grandson's wallet would be found at such a convenient timing. After all, the Onikakushi Defense Alliance wasn't related to the case in the first place, so there was no way the wallet belonged to the grandson. Why I wanted to decide that was the case, even I didn't really know. Even though what should have been the top secret case was leaked before I'd even been dispatched. In this situation, how could I say this was definitely unrelated? Would it be more prudent to pay more attention to the wallet? If only I'd been a couple days since I arrived in Hinamizawa. But in those couple of days, due to a number of remarkable events, my nerves might have become just a little, frayed. Shaking my head slightly, I cleared out unnecessary thoughts. No way it'd be found with such convenient timing, unless they deliberately leaked evidence. Interesting. Yeah, it's a good idea. Ooshi opened the wallet zipper, revealing the contents. Inside was a small change and a number of crumpled receipts. Ooshi from the jumbo pulled out a folded card. Seeing that, my heart stopped for a moment. It was a card from a dental examination. The name, Toshiki Inugai, and the age. A perfect match. The dentist's location was in Tokyo. There's no need to explain any further. How far was it from Tokyo to Hinamizawa? It was far enough that taking the bullet trains and the cars would still take several hours. Why would a wallet with a dental examination card from Tokyo inside show up in Hinamizawa? Could it belong to a tourist who came from Tokyo? Or maybe a villager on vacation to Tokyo just happened to pay a visit to the dentist. No, it had to have fallen into somebody's bag by accident. In my mind, I desperately struggled to find a possible excuse as to why this wallet didn't belong to Toshiki Inugai. It was as if just wouldn't do for this wallet to belong to him. However, weeding out any possibility for error, one by one. The haze surrounding the wallet in front of me faded, gradually letting me come into clear focus. See? I felt a shiver of electricity run up my spine. My pulse quickened, and a thin film of sweat began to coat my entire body. From Aoshi's point of view, I was probably slack-jawed and spaced out, with a sullen look on my face. Did you get any info from the dental office? That's your job, Akasaka-san. I didn't go that far. When did the wallet show up? The person who picked it up was a villager. They did so yesterday, it seems. Not that. I mean, when was this wallet dropped? Well, it rained here last week, exactly 7 days ago. It doesn't look like the contents are water damaged, so the longest it could have probably been was 6 days. Does anyone else at the station have knowledge of the existence of this wallet? Well, the officer who first encountered it at the Hinamizawa police box, and also the 2 or 3 people in charge of the lost and found. Other than that, it's just you and me. It's involved in a classified case. Be bad to talk about it, wouldn't it? I don't intend to wag my tongue. May I borrow a phone? Go ahead. Dial 0 to get to an outside line. Sorry. Bless me. I had to cover that up. Oh my god. They know Akasaka's there from the defense force and the grandson is being held by them. Imagine just carrying around your own dental records in your wallet as you travel a few hundred miles from home. Right, I mean, don't you? I always have it on me. Like, what if my body gets burnt and that's the only way they have to identify me is my teeth? Gradually letting you what? Meanwhile, the lost wallet's owner. Help, I lost my wallet and I can't pay for this sweet souvenir t-shirt. It's doing tight, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh man. Alright, I dialed the phone number inscribed on the examination card. I could hear my pulse pounding in my head. Could there possibly be something so absurd? The addresses on the receipts and cards inside the wallet were all from around the area where the grandson lived. The name on the examination card was also a match. The time were deduced that the wallet had been left behind also matched with the timeline of the kidnapping. Of course, it was possible I could just laugh it off as all a big pile of coincidences. There wasn't any strong evidence. Rather than all this circumstantial proof, the contents of the phone call I was about to make would have a much greater meaning. Hello? Sorry to keep you waiting. This is dental office. Hello, this is the police. I've misplaced a wallet here, and I'm trying to get in contact with the owner. Would you be able to help me? Inside the wallet, there was an examination card from your office. Yes. The name is Toshiki Inugai. If I give you the number on the card, could you be able to look up the phone number? Yes, thank you. If you could. Still holding the receiver, I pulled out a notebook from my breast pocket with my free hand. I opened it up and the page with the grandson's address and phone number recorded on it. Yes, hello? Yeah, go ahead. I compared the number written on my notebook to the one that was being read out on the other end of the line. During that process, I spun around to look behind me uneasily. I locked eyes with Aoshi. Aoshi looked puzzled, wondering what the matter was. Why would I feel uneasy and look behind me? That was because the person on the end of the line was reading out the numbers as though doing so straight from my notebook. It seemed that HQ was quite the uproar thanks to my report. No matter how many times the authenticity of the evidence I had linked to the grandson was called into question, I could only respond that it was the truth. When the lead investigator first picked up the phone, I was grilled about the evidence I'd found that was almost too good to be true, and if I do say so myself. But after doubt dispelled, he fell into silence. The receiver was finally handed over to the section chief. When he picked it up, the background thrum on the other end of the line disappeared. I knew that it had gone completely silent. After asking the same questions about the wallet that the lead investigator did, the chief quietly spoke his next words. Got it. We'll dispatch several people as reinforcements. They should be able to make it there by the evening. Akasaka-kun, Please continue with your investigation of the area. Get some information on the spot where the wallet was found. Kanawa-san will select some people I head directly there. The fact that he was sending Kaonu, the lead investigator, here meant that the chief had decided that there was a possibility that the Onikakushi defense lines was somehow implicit in the kidnapping. However, it felt as though until the lead investigator, whom he trusted, had verified the evidence with his own eyes, he was still going to be skeptical about it. Well, how'd it go? It seems that HQ is sending reinforcements. I was ordered to investigate the area. Where was the wallet dropped? Well, around Takasudo, apparently. This is Okinomiya. All the way over there? This is Hinamizawa. Then, even further upstream, way up around here, is Takasudo. She explained where the wallet was found by pointing to locations on the map on the wall. This place called Takasudo was even more remote than Hinamizawa was. There's hardly anybody living up in that area around Takasudo. It was deserted long time ago. It's littered with abandoned houses, so it's really quite desolate around there. Oshi-san, could I ask you to guide me to Takasudo? Yeah, I don't mind. You don't really get out in and out of Hinamizawa as you please by yourself, after all. Of course, I'll have to make you wear the cap and mask again. That Oshi had agreed to accompany was very reassuring. If Sato-san's info was believed, my cover had been blown. I wasn't sure if the villagers had realized that the fresh meat dispatched from public safety wasn't a tourist and had visited the village yesterday. In other words, me. But deciding that they hadn't noticed would have been overly optimistic. Let's see. Oh, thanks for reminding me to carry my own dental records, blood type, organ donor cards, and traveling around Japan. Yeah, there you go. Background reminds you of Serial Experience Lane. I see it. I see it. Well, why do you expect to be burnt? Oh, right, yeah, vampire. Yep. Not the self-censor. Listen. It's redacted. I gotta, like, it out. Still not a yabai feature. I know, I'm so say-so. Just ooh-woo, eepy-sheepy, ooh-woo. The real question is, the village leaked the wallet. Why did they want the police and defense force to show up? Who can say? These guys are good. That's cops. Shut up. Given a cursory thought, Takatsudo, where the wallet was found, couldn't be ruled out as a hiding spot for the kidnappers. The Takatsudo era didn't have any residential buildings, nor was it alongside a highway. There wasn't a reason for even the locals to go out of their way to visit it. More gaslighting? Oi, I'm just saying, who could say? Who knows? Not me. Anyway. It was exactly what you call a long-forgotten ghost town at the end of the road. She can't keep getting away with this. What do you mean? Shut up, Pliskin. This is the first book club you've made it to. I don't want to hear it. The politician ass line. Oh my god. Also, you couldn't get to Takatsudo without passing through Hinamizawa first. Those several conditions made the area all more important. I couldn't brush it off any longer. There was no longer any doubt that the Onikakushi defense lines, or somebody hired by them, were involved in the kidnapping. If that were the case, the fact that this wallet was found might have already been leaked to them. They even know so much as to how the Public Safety Division was operating. The case of the wallet couldn't be something they didn't know. In that case, there was a possibility the enemy was lying in wait. To dive alone into enemy territory, surrounded by enemy territory, to say the least, required an amount of courage, nay, recklessness, that I just did not have. Without your company, Oishi-san, I wouldn't be able to step in that village so easily. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Honestly, I thought you would ask me for more money. Well, if we're being honest, Hinamizawa isn't exactly a place I like to go to. I'd at least appreciate it if you paid for the cab fare. Still, It's not a request I can refuse from a friend that's played the same table as me. Oshi grinned as he pounded me on the back. It struck me that he just didn't want to jump ship rather than having any sort of sense of duty towards his job. Even so, that didn't really matter. Right now, I really appreciated the gesture. Well then, shall we hurry up and get going? If the enemy knew the police had attained the wallet, then they would probably have moved the hostage to a different place. There wasn't a moment to lose. But Oshi, without regard for the fact that we were about to head out, began to remove his jacket. What are you doing? Well, just a precaution. If you want me to poke the beehive and get your honey, I have to be rather well prepared, you see. You want to put one on too? What Oshi pulled from his drawer below the desk was a stab-proof vest. Music made me feel a bit goofy, a bit silly. He did what? His name was Toshiki Inugai, the grandson of the Minister of Construction Inugai. There was only one reason for him being here. If you didn't include gym or art class, his grades were above average. That was the result of having private tutoring sessions twice a week. If you omitted the fact that he still couldn't do pull-ups, there wasn't much else that would make him hate school. Of course, he understood full well that his grandfather was a cabinet minister. But he also knew that not too many people were that interested in their relationship. He didn't like to go out of his way to bring up his grandfather or to call him the Minister of Construction. And finally, he at least tried to know a little more about what kind of work the Minister of Construction did than your average Joe. What that entailed was that when you were tried to make life better for the masses, sometimes you made a few enemies. He knew that all too well from the time he'd spent as a class representative. His grandfather had many enemies. He knew that he might personally catch some of that fallout, so he had to be twice as cautious. He was taught that by his parents. And that's why, the moment he was kidnapped, he instantly knew that this was one of those occasions. He understood that he wasn't being treated as Toshiki Inugai, the person, but rather as Toshiki Inugai, the grandson of the Minister of Construction. That it wasn't personally at fault, but that this was the result of some unavoidable trouble with his grandfather's work. It made little difference, but when he realized it wasn't because of anything he did, he was able to relax, if only a little. Of course, at first, he was struck with terror befitting his age, wondering what was going to happen to him. But after a while of being tied up and only able to stay laying down, he began to ponder a great many things. First, he thought about the reason he was being abducted like this. He understood the answer to that easily. He was taken hostage to coerce his grandfather, the minister. There was no doubt about that. He didn't know exactly what Minister of Construction did, but it was easy to imagine that there was much that he gained from threatening him. He respected his grandfather more than most. He earnestly believed that his own grandfather was within the top 20 of the most important people of Japan. And that was exactly why he wouldn't forgive anybody who tried to threaten his beloved grandfather. More importantly, he wouldn't forgive anybody who would use him as a tool to threaten his grandfather. His grandfather was really busy and really had time to meet with the relatives. That's why, with what little time he did manage to scrape together, he just dropped by unannounced. And as an apology for not being able to meet during New Year's or summer vacation, he doted on his grandson very, very much. The number of times that Toshiki was looked upon with disregard just because his grandfather was a politician and a minister certainly weren't few. But he never thought even once that he wanted his grandfather to quit being a politician. Because it was his beloved grandfather, he wanted him to continue his career as long as possible, from the bottom of his heart. However, Toshiki was now being held hostage, and his grandfather was being threatened. His grandfather, who called him the apple of his eye, was surely suffering. He might do anything to save his grandson, maybe even putting aside his ideology if it was required to save his grandson. He might cave into the culprit's demands if it meant saving his grandson. When Toshiki thought about that, an inexplicable anger welled up in him. In his current situation, he was unable to forgive the cowards who would make his beloved grandfather suffer by using such dastardly means. That feeling swelled up inside him, displacing the fear. What he thought of at first was something any boy would imagine. Get out of these bonds, beat up the bad guys, and then hand them over to police. Images of all the brave heroes from those manga he had read passed through the back of his mind. In his imaginary scenario, he slipped his bonds easily, floating like a butterfly to evade the captors, then stinging like a bee to bring him down. In the end, it was nothing more than his silly little fantasy, but with his vision obstructed and unable to see anything, it was something that he could get more into it than any anime at any moment. In actuality, he was enjoying these little scenarios in his head. For the long period of time he was tied up, his captors hadn't really done anything to him that he would make him feel sorry for. However, eventually he began to grow tired of his fantasies, and more realistic scenarios began to run through his head. It was then he realized that none of them were a solution. Yes, he wanted to do something for his grandfather who was being threatened. That he was being held to inflict pain on his grandfather was the thing that he could least forgive, and also the most vexing. And then he noticed. There was a much simpler way he could save his grandfather without having to beat up his despicable captors. That was to remove himself as a hostage from the hands of these villains. If he was to disappear from here, his captors would have nothing to threaten his grandfather with. The captors had restrained him, but they didn't treat him roughly, and they made sure he was fed well enough. Meaning at most, he was nothing more than the means to their threat. They weren't looking to bully or kill him out of spite. If he behaved, no ill would befall him. Realizing that gave him a strong sense of courage. And carrying his train of thoughts this far, he let it run its course of its natural conclusion. Right now, at this moment, Toshiki Nugai had decided to escape. His ears had been stuffed with a sponge-like material, acting as a makeshift earplugs. However, they didn't actually do much to block out any sound, and he could overhear everything his captors were saying. Realizing that this to his advantage, even when his captors spoke to him, he acted like he couldn't hear them due to the earplugs. His captors, thinking that he couldn't hear their conversation, talked about all sorts of things without reservations. Thanks to that, he was able to obtain various pieces of information. First off, this wasn't Tokyo. It seemed that this was quite a distance away, and on top of that, in the countryside, nestled deep in the mountains. It also seemed that his captors were inconvenienced living out here, so he would deduce that this place was far removed from any sort of town. Finally, whenever they went out to buy food or other supplies, they would always take a car. The fact caused him some dismay, because he knew that the method he learned at school of running around blindly while shouting for help wouldn't work here. He paused his little mental escape scenario there. His ultimate goal was to find somebody who would help him. If somebody who fit that description wasn't close by, his chances of escaping successfully grew slim. A desolate, far-off land deep in the mountains. A place where you couldn't even go shopping without using a car. In this situation, escaping would be difficult. He grew depressed, and after a little while, he returned to his original scenario, imagining becoming a hero like in the manga. He read, and beating down his captors became his respite. However, as he played those delusions out in his head, his heart, hating to surrender, continued to search for a way to escape. And then, he thought of a way. If the goal was far away, then all he had to do was get closer. His goal in a nutshell was to find somebody who would help him. In other words, somebody other than his captors. If he faked being sick, then his captors would have to take him to a hospital or bring him to a doctor. They would probably be reluctant to do it, but he already knew that the hostage was more important than anything. In the off chance that something happened, like him dying, occurred, they wouldn't be able to threaten anyone anymore. Sorry, let me get a sip. Here for the mystery, I didn't expect to get hit by the feels. Oof. Sag. Welcome to the US, kid. Yeah, right? Oy. Luckily, he had an experience that would help him fake a serious illness. At the end of last year, He was inadvertently involved in a car accident and had to undergo surgery. The scar from the surgery was still clearly visible on his lower torso. He recalled the pain and suffering from that time. The existence of that experience would make a huge impact on the realism of his performance. He was quite confident in his ability to fake an illness. His captors at first looked at him with a sigh and needed to use the washroom. Untying his only arms, he tried to bring him where he was still blindfolded, but he didn't try to get up. His hands, now free, only clutched at his abdomen as he writhed in agony. "Hey, what's wrong? Does your stomach hurt?" He still had his earplugs in, so he had to pretend he didn't hear the captives asking a question. He was about to nod as he hurriedly had to stop himself. "What's the matter?" "Yeah, the kid's clutching at his stomach. It must be a stomachache or something." His captors looked down at his suffering form for a bit. One of them processed a course of action, while another laid his doubts that Toshiki might be faking it. "Well, that's wrong, boy. Your tummy hurt?" "His ears are plugged. He can't hear you." "Well, that's the problem. You got any medicine that works on your stomach pain? You might want to go out and buy some. When it comes to stomach pain, there's a bunch of different meds, isn't there? As long as we don't know the cause, we shouldn't just buy him any old medicine." "It's all in his stomach, man. He's just constipated. If you buy him some medicine for that, maybe he'll calm down. It won't kill him if we're wrong, neither." "Don't decide something like that on your own. It might be appendicitis or something. My uncle suddenly got it a while ago. That was pretty scary." One of the captors leaned over beside the boy, who was bent over in agony. "Oh, I feel sorry for the kid. Whoa, his whole body's covered in sweat. Is it your stomach? Does it hurt?" Hey, if it hurts, you shouldn't clutch at it so tightly. It'll only make it worse." Realizing that his captors were concerned about his stomach, he inadvertently let his shirt ride up, letting the scar from surgery come into plain view. His vision was still obscured with the packing tape, so he couldn't see the reaction to the scar. But his captors were taken aback, and judging from their momentary silence, he had obtained the reaction he was looking for. "Hey, this is bad. This scar, it's not that old. Does the boy have a fever? There a thermometer around?" "No way we have one. That's a lot of sweat. Yeah, his forehead feels pretty hot, I think. I've heard of under prolonged stress, old wounds can become aggravated. What do we do? Are you saying that medicine won't work? We don't know what surgery the scar's from. But in any case, this is bad. In worst case, it could be fatal." "This is bad. It's real bad." "Oh, maybe we should have a doctor look at it. At this rate, there's a chance that he might suddenly die on us." Toshiki Nugai, with those few words, knew that the situation was progressing exactly as he had envisioned it, and snickering to himself on the inside, pressed his act even further. He didn't even need to know that his captors were panicking, and were running around like chickens with their heads cut off at this troublesome turn of events. "Should we take him to the clinic?" "No, that's no good. Probably better if the doctor came here." "Dr. Irie, you mean?" "Is that okay? Will that be all right?" "Well, it'd be worse if anything happened to the hostage." "Nothing we can do. It's an emergency." One of the captors hurriedly left into the car. Another of the men, completely shaken up at this point, wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. It looked like they were bringing a doctor. As long as the doctor wasn't an accomplice, that doctor was his goal. He was someone who should seek help from. All captors were probably wary of that happening. They would be prepared for it. This would all come down to luck. Some of the sweat emerging from his brow was now from the nervousness. At that moment, the packing tape that was covering his eyes and ears was torn off. The burning light that he was seeing for the first time in several days hurt his eyes. After that, the gag that had made it hard for him to breathe was also removed. Are you alright, kid? We're bringing a doctor to you right now. Just hold on for a bit. The doctor was coming. The doctor was coming. Now, how was he going to ask for help? And how was he going to get away from his captors? A plethora of thoughts began swirling through his mind. Well, I think you know this already. But don't say anything unnecessary to the doctor. We don't want to hurt you or anything. You understand that, right? Toshiki Nugai nodded, while feigning pain and obedience. His expectations are the enemy's expectations. Whether they doubted he was faking his illness or not, they knew that his goal was, and he would try to stop it. His stomach contracted from the stress of his gambit, making it seem like his stomach really was starting to hurt. No, it really was. But there was no reason to panic. If he failed with his approach to the doctor, there was nothing to lose. If there was something to lose, it was this method of faking illness to get in touch with the doctor. If he could think of other methods here on out, it wasn't much. But at the present, this was the easiest and most dramatic way he could think of. The more he thought about it, the more it looked like this was his first and last gambit. Eventually, he heard the sound of a car approaching once again. The sound of car doors being hurriedly opened and shut. The sounds of several footsteps approaching. There he is. A young man in a white medical coat. As he acknowledged the boy, a suspicious look showed itself on his face. Who is he? He's not one of the kids from the village, is he? The captors didn't respond. From the looks of it, the young doctor had realized that this was an abnormal situation. One of the captors talked threateningly. That's got nothing to do with you, Doc. For a while, the doctor and the captors silently glared at one another. However, unable to stand the sight of the boy continuing to suffer, the doctor, as the captors had hoped, didn't press any further. I'm concerned with the old surgical scar. What kind of operation was it? We don't know. I should really bring him back to the clinic. Doc, we really can't do that. The doctor said he wanted to bring the boy back to the clinic, but the captors simply silently shook their heads at the notion. It was a fleeting hope, but it was only natural that the captors would refuse. At that moment, his eyes met with the doctor's. Seeing that the boy's painful state was abnormal, the doctor suspected it was a serious illness. Are you all right? I'm a doctor. When was the surgical scar from? Last year? During the winter. From an accident. An accident? I see. This is a problem. He couldn't let the doctor figure out that he was faking it here. He had to somehow figure out a way to keep this going and tell the doctor that he was being confined and needed help. I'm going to touch the affected area, okay? If it hurts, tell me where. Ah! Seeing that it was extremely painful, the doctor crossed his arms and began to ponder. He had to somehow get himself to a hospital. To Toshiki Nugai, faking this illness was the performance of a lifetime. Oh boy. Dr. Irie is just like, surprise bitch, bet you thought you seen the last of me. Oh, shit. Oh, boy. Good work, everyone. I know it's hot, but please do your best. Who died and why is it me? Reese, no. If you catch anybody illegally dumping, please contact someone immediately. We'll act quickly. Thank you for cooperation, Oishi-san. Please. A gap wide enough for a single car was opened up in the barricade. Oishi, showing his gratitude, or perhaps threatening attitude, with a short beep on the horn, rolled the car forward through the checkpoint. Did you catch a cold? No, my nose is just stuffy. I don't know what's causing it. I think it's because it's starting to get really cold out. But, like, I feel fine. I just was sneezing a little bit of coughs. Just a stuffy nose, I don't know. This time, my appearance was the very embodiment of the word suspicious. A baseball cap, mask, sunglasses. On top of that, even though I was sweltering, I was wearing a hoodie. Any respectable police officer would be loath to not stop me for questioning. Starving late, I had to do stuff? No problem, no worries. Thanks for showing up, man. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you coming at all. Heading home now? Good, good. I had meant to be overcautious, knowing full well that my face was known, but it might have already been too late for that to have any use. Using that as an excuse, I doffed up in a barely hot hoodie, a windbreaker, ripped off the mask and hat, and threw on the seat behind me. Oh my, is that okay? With a cheap little disguise like this, they probably figured it out anyways. Nah, that just might be the case. Oishi, probably thinking that my unexpected behavior is funny, continued to laugh. The beautiful and pristine scenery of Hinamizawa spread out before me. The village itself would have been quite beautiful if it weren't for the complicated circumstances surrounding it at the moment. I would absolutely love to take Yuki here for a drive one day. Come to think of it, I didn't get a chance to call her last night. I played around with the idea in my head, but in reality, this village wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I had heard everything at the prefectural headquarters. At the heart of the village, the intelligence network that the three families wielded, due to the blood ties and the regional relationships, unbelievably well organized. Their net spread not just around Hinamizawa itself, but encapsulated the entirety of the city of Shishibone as well. When I first heard that, somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I didn't take it completely seriously. How could a local organization out in the boonies have something so grandiose? I couldn't deny that somewhere in the back of my mind I had ridiculed that thought. But not only were they really threatening the minister, but they were demonstrating that they had complete grasp of their movements, which were supposed to be top secret. They were almost like a secret police that controlled the small Eastern European country like in some spy novel. The villagers here wouldn't bat an eye at getting their hands dirty if it meant fighting the dam project. I also heard something like that at the prefectural headquarters. Now that you mention it, when I first arrived here, Oishi also said that this place was a war zone, didn't he? The residents of this village were at the same time freedom fighters, although by definition they were no different than the guerrillas or a militia. They weren't protected by the Geneva Convention, but they also didn't have to adhere to those rules either. This place was more of a quagmire than any legitimate battlefield. A secret war was unfolding. I could drive along because Oishi was with me, but if I was to leave this car, or even something as trivial as looking for a vending machine, there was a chance I wouldn't return. Even though a single shot hadn't been fired, this was a battlefield. No, the reason why bullets weren't flying was simply because it was hard for a civilian to obtain guns in Japan. So they were probably just equipped with weapons other than guns that were easier to obtain. That was why Oishi was wearing a stab-proof vest, wasn't he? Nakasaka-san, you nervous? The fact that I was apprehensive was, of course, picked up on by Oishi. If he already figured it out, there was no point in trying to deny or hide it. Of course I am. We're heading to the heart of the enemy territory alone, aren't we? I'm worried about if something unlikely happens and it's just the two of us. Something unlikely? It'll be alright. Isn't everyone in the village our enemy? If everyone gets their stories straight, they could murder someone in broad daylight and there wouldn't be a shred of evidence. I'm asking about something like that. This was the ironclad rule of not barging into a Yakuza office alone was about. If there wasn't a neutral party involved, that area wasn't bound by laws or common sense. If something happened, you wouldn't be able to prove it, and there wasn't anybody who could take your side. It was pretty much the definition of poking the bear. I've left word that we're heading towards the Hinamizawa area. And in worst case, we're also got a radio. I know you're scared, Akasaka-san, but it's not that easy to pull off a perfect crime. Of course that doesn't mean we can let our guard down either. Akasaka-san, you're too worked up over this. You were more relaxed the last time we came here together, weren't you? Laughing it off, Oshi thumped his chest and grinned, as if to say I could depend on him. Well, if it gets really iffy... This comes with having a badge. Oshi made a motion by sticking out his index finger. It was undoubtedly the image of a gun. Will it be of any use? If you're not afraid of dealing with the aftermath after you shoot, it's actually very reassuring. An officer's gun was only for show. If you really wanted to fire it, there were quite a number of stipulations, and you had to be prepared for the long probationary period afterwards. That definitely wasn't worth it. So even if an officer did unholster his gun, there wasn't one who actually wanted to pull the trigger. Akasaka-san, you carrying one? A piece. Well, yeah. You ever fire it? I have. For training, though. I guess that'd be true. Well then, have you, Oshi-san? Me? Nah, there's no way. What was this? I thought he was laughing at me because I had experience. The two of us laughed together. I've also never pointed the barrel at anybody. I've looked down the barrel of a gun a few times, though. Just being made to look down the barrel like that is enough to shorten your lifespan by about 3 years. Even if I had never fired a gun before, you couldn't even begin to compare the amount of experience Oshi had over me. At a time like this, I can only marvel again at how reliable Oshi seemed. Come to think of it, I didn't want to come to this way in the middle of the day, but there's no way for the car to get through other than here. Akasaka-san, just in case, put the mask on again. Hide your face, please. What's the matter? Can you not hear it because the air conditioning's too loud? I'll turn it off. Try opening the window. When I opened the window, a blast of hot air blew inside. And then, I could hear angry yelling coming from far away. At that moment, the forest gave way on either side of us, and our view expanded suddenly. And there could be seen the Hinamizawa Dam construction grounds, the very front line for the Hinamizawa village. We're absolutely opposed to the construction of the Hinamizawa Dam. The crackling blare of someone's voice sounded over an enormous loudspeaker. The roar of angry voices continued to rumble. The incredible volume had become a veritable sound cannon, spewing out its ammunition. The prefabricated site office was surrounded by 2 sets of high fences laced with barbed wire. Lined up in front of those fences were riot police in their vehicles. And surrounding it all were the villagers. They howled out their protests against the dam as a single entity. Oh, there's not too many of them today. We're in luck. That's not too many? Yeah, when there's a lot of them, the crowd reaches as far as the road. You wouldn't even be able to inch forward in a car. At first, due to their overwhelming intensity, it looked to me as if there were more people than there actually was. But upon closer inspection, there were almost, at most, 50 to 70 of them. But the 6 or 7 propaganda trucks, lined up that looked like they belonged to the band of thugs, were a strange enough sight. The villagers were also wearing helmets and bandanas, as well as covering their faces with masks, adding to the oddity of it all. The propaganda trucks, after braying their chorus, had their volume turned up even higher and began to flood the area with sutras. To say that this noise was downright violent wouldn't be an understatement. From this distance, it was still this loud. The glass at the office was probably rattling from the noise. They can't do anything there but take it. Those riot squad guys, every one of them is wearing earplugs, but they're still having their hearing damaged. Poor sobs. Can't you do something about the noise ordinance laws? Our prefecture doesn't have any laws regarding noise ordinance. Also, those are sutras, right? Can't regulate religious activities. Those guys are pretty smart. Is what I think, Oshi said. Actually, no matter how tightly the window was shut, the booming sound of the sutra still filled the car. I couldn't even hear what Oshi was sitting right next to me was saying. As the car approached the line of propaganda trucks, the blare became difficult to bear. It wasn't enough to just plug my ears with fingers. I had to hold my head to keep my skull from splitting apart. If I had seen this terrifying energy sooner, I would have probably understood that what Hinamizawa Village was much quicker. Now I knew. They wouldn't blink an eye at sacrificing themselves in order to protect their hometown. So goddamn noisy. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. My head throbbed and it felt like it was going to split apart. My eardrums crackled, and on top of it all, I felt like I was going to throw up. With the road crowded with throng of squatters, the propaganda trucks, and the riot police's vehicles, it was in no way easy to get by. Even if you tried to shoo the squatters with the car horn. They were also wearing earplugs, oblivious to the noises from the outside world. It wouldn't easily move. The car could only inch forward at a snail's pace. Even then, the car eventually got through, starting to leave the thumptuous noise behind. Hey, the bald guy that was playing the mahjong with us last night. Remember him? I remember that there was an older person who didn't exactly mince words. The guy that Oshi called Old Man. There was someone like that. You see, he's the foreman of the main construction site. He's probably holed up in that prefab building, trying to work while irritated out of his mind. Poor fella. You wouldn't be able to stand it if it's like that every day. Yeah. There's no end to the number of people who can't handle it and quit. But every time that happens, their wages go up, so I won't say it's in vain. Even having to deal with all the noise and hostility, they still made a wage that Oshi found inviolable? Inviolable. Damn it, these guys. Can they hear or can't they? A group of squatters were in the way of the car. Oshi, sufficiently annoyed, laid into the horn, but there was no indication that they were moving anytime soon. In this din, could they not even hear a car horn? Or did they hear it and they were just being malicious? If there was any riot police nearby, they would have made people move, but it just so happened that there weren't any around here. Ah, jeez. Wait a minute. Oshi opened up the door. The hot air, even more heated roar of the crowd spilled into the car. Oshi said something as he grinned widely, but I couldn't hear what it was. He was getting them to move. Something like that? Oshi stepped out of the car and closed the door. The din faded slightly. I stared blankly as Oshi headed towards the group and started some point of conversation. Maybe he wouldn't find the minister's grandson at Tatsukuro. At the very least, I wanted to find him there. Find him and slip the cursed bonds of this incomprehensible village. Enviable. Sorry. English is my 74th language. You know, I have a hard time with it. I could only pray. At that moment, a shadow was suddenly cast over me. Somebody was standing right outside the passenger side window, blocking the sunlight. I spun around, looked up, and realized who the blacklit figure was. Huh? It was a girl. It was Rika Furude. The girl stared down at me with a bored look in her eyes. I didn't have any justification for it, but I felt like I had been found out by somebody I shouldn't have been found out by. To fill the silence, I raised my hand as I mouthed a meek greeting. Of course, there was no way she heard my small voice in this clamor. But even then, she would have seen my wave and hand the greeting. In spite of that, She simply stared down at me with a cold look on her face. At that moment, the noise and the heat spread throughout the car once again. She had returned to the driver's seat. Taking a look, the group that was blocking the road had started to move aside while glaring our way. Sorry to keep you waiting. Shall we go? Huh? She registered the figure of the girl behind me. One of the villagers came over and picked her up. In a matter of it's dangerous, so get away. It was then that she whispered one or two words. However, I couldn't hear any of it. Well then, let's go. I'm gonna gun it, alright? But of course, still within the speed limit. Bro, you got no idea how many words I really messed up. As if to shake off the still audible angry voices, she floored the gas. Along with the roar and the din of the shouting, the villagers and the girl quickly disappeared behind us. As soon as we're through here, we're in Takasudo. Sorry. Are you okay if we end up getting into a firefight? Don't be fumbling with the safety at that last moment, you hear? She laughed mockingly again. I was more concerned that the girl had said, however, as I was vaguely bothered by it. What was she trying to say with that apathetic and candid expression? Suppose it's normal for you to be nervous from here on out, but if you don't deal with it, there's a chance you might do something rash. There was no longer any way to confirm what that girl had tried to tell me. It might have been that the girl who warned me to go back to Tokyo again, or else was saying to me who was here now ignoring that warning? Even though I warned you. What a fool. I had a feeling she said something like that. We're still going. Oh my god, I thought that was gonna end. Oh my god, there's more. There's more. If you were to call Hinamizawa a rather lonely village, then Takasudo was outright desolate. For your every city boy like me, I just couldn't understand why anybody would force themselves to live here. There were signs that people had, but they were all covered in dust or enveloped in ivy, indicating that it was all but abandoned. People really lived in a place like this, didn't they? Well, it was a long time ago. A remote place like this is pretty rough for old folk to live. And the younger people probably wanted to try living in a more suitable place. If there's anybody left to take the reins, all that gets left is this. Even if I had no personal attachment to the village, seeing the disused buildings made me feel a little sentimental. It seemed that Oshi also felt the same way. "24? What? 24? What?" You know what's funnier than 24? 25! Sorry, hold on. Not the mood right now. Oh my god. Was the wallet found over here? The person who found it must have a good reason to come out to this desolate place. It fooled us all. It did. It really did. Got him. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good one, mistress. Ah, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's some villagers who have a field out here in the mountains. They pass by here in the mornings and evenings. The villagers who work the fields walk by here every day? No way. They probably go as far as they can by car. So in the early mornings and evenings, they pass by here and just happen to find a single wallet? They probably did. Tadaima. Where exactly did they find it? In a thicket, just a bit further up ahead. The person who found the wallet just happened to have some stomach cramps and was planning to use the thicket to do some business, it seems. It was there that he happened to find it, probably hoping there was some toilet paper in there. Everything about that story just seems a little too convenient. Right from the discovery of the wallet, I just can't shake the feeling that something's off. I expressed the feeling that I had from the start of the day, quite frankly. It seemed too good to be true, but it was unwavering proof. But it was too perfect, sickeningly so. That was my feeling. You might actually be onto something by saying it's all a little too perfect. Meaning? The truth is, I heard a little something from the friend of mine at the 4th Division, where Oryo Sonozaki referred to the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. She referenced it? Yeah. It's been several days since the minister's grandson had been kidnapped. Poor boy. It'd be nice if they'd let him go soon. It seems that old Oreo muttered something like that a while on her veranda. And that little musing was conveyed to the various people working deep behind the scenes at the Sonozaki family. Right. I had heard something earlier from Sato-san, the informant. That when the leader Oreo had a concern, somebody in the family would be considerate. So in essence, she gave the order to release the hostage? I see it that way. The wallet being conveniently discovered was just a ploy to hand the boy over to the police. Why would they release the hostage? Well, there's only one reason why somebody would release a hostage, isn't there? What is it? They reached a deal. That would mean the minister promised to halt the Hinamizawa Dam project. The dam project will definitely go away. At that moment, those words from the girl who had said resurfaced in the back of my mind. In the end, it was turning out exactly as she had proclaimed. That young girl knew the circumstances. She knew everything about this kidnapping incident, from the beginning to the end. Akasaka. The girl unexpectedly called my name. What is it? Go back to Tokyo. Huh? Before long, you will woefully regret coming to this village. That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see. So I thought I'd warn you, right now. Why would I come to regret it? Stop whining. When you tried crossing the road when the don't walk sign was up, did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back to the sidewalk? They'd pull you back right away, wouldn't they? They'd pull you back before explaining why it was so dangerous, wouldn't they? In other words, it's something like that. The girl who knew everything from the start to the finish had warned me in the beginning, go back to Tokyo. Akasaka is such a coward. We'll probably find the boy, but what happens after will probably be a bit of a problem. How it'll be a problem, though, is something a single officer like me could not figure out. Do you know a girl named Rika Furude? What I had said was such a oh my god, what a fucking word, sequitur, that Aoshi sat in a stunned silence for a while. Of course I know her. She's the only daughter of the Furude family, one of the 3 families. Sequitur, okay. Well, what kind of a girl is she? Well. This was an unexpected name to hear. I'm a bit surprised. Does public safety think that the Furude family smells fishy and wants to keep an eye on them? Share some of that information with me, please. No, it's not like that. It's just something that caught my attention. Well, whatever. It wouldn't do to not answer a question from a friend I've sat at the same table with. I'm honored you called me a friend. So that little lady is, well, somewhat of a village mascot. She's beloved by everybody in the village. Some of the older folk worship her especially. Worship? I don't know much about it, you see. Girls born in the Furude family have somewhat of a sacred implication, it seems. It's one of the local beliefs in Hinamizawa. The living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, something like that. Or at least so the story goes, apparently. Oyashiro-sama? Now that you mention it, I think I saw Oyashiro-sama written on some of the Alliance's banners. What is Oyashiro-sama, exactly? Ah, it's the name of the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. They believe it'll exact punishment on those who do ill towards the village. Well, if there was such a convenient god around, the guys at the dam would have been long since gone by divine justice. Luckily, nothing like that has happened to anybody just yet. The grandson of the minister who trifled with the village as a result of Yashiro-sama's anger was... what did they call it again? Oh, right. Onikakushi. The minister's grandson was demoned away. That would probably be how the script would be written. I see. It probably would turn into something like that. Divine punishment wrought by Yashiro-sama. Then the culprit is the living incarnation of the Yashiro-sama. That girl? Even I didn't know exactly what I was saying. The fact that Oshi laughed at it was a bit of a relief. Oshi's joyous laughter was so infectious that I began to laugh like an idiot as well. It's dangerous to go alone and take Rika-chan with you. Oh my god. Oh. This is unusual. Oshi, after laying on the horn several times, rolled the window down and leaned out, waving his arm in an exaggerated manner. It was a car heading the opposite way. Until now, he hadn't run into any other cars except our own. And of all places, it was at this desolate location. It seemed that Oshi knew the owner of that car. The other car was chirped its horn and came to a stop. Dr. Ire! Good afternoon. The other car's window rolled down slowly, revealing a young man in a white overcoat. He was about my age, or perhaps a bit older. But you really can't judge someone by their appearance. Why, if it isn't Oshi-san. Good afternoon. Fancy meeting you here. That's my line, Doctor. I never thought I'd see you here. What happened? Oh, nothing. Just a little house call. Oh, really? Was it an emergency? No, nothing quite that serious. Thankfully. I'll take my leave here. If I don't get back quickly, my staff will be angry with me. Being the head of the clinic must be tough. Well then, take care. The young doctor named Ire, after gesturing his farewell, drove forwards and soon disappeared around the corner. Oshi also drove forwards, but soon came to a stop again. He pulled out a worn mapbook of the dash. His expression didn't have an ounce of irreverence. He was perfectly serious. What is it? The clinic shouldn't be making any house calls today. It must have been quite an emergency, or otherwise a patient with some extenuating circumstances. Oshi flipped through the pages, opening to the map of Takatsudo. After that, he took a look around and started to try and figure out the current location it was. Are you saying that the emergency is suspicious? Didn't I say? There's hardly anybody that lives in the Takatsudo area. The road we're on right now is here. Dr. Ire came from this direction. Having no sense of our surroundings, I couldn't digest anything about the place that he was indicating on the map. We're heading towards the spot where the wallet was found. By the way, that's over there. But see, if we're heading to one of the few residences in Takatsudo, it's the wrong road. Meaning Dr. Ire came from a direction where there was no residence? As long as somebody working in the fields between these mountains didn't collapse. But if somebody collapses and you call a doctor, normally you'd bring them back with you for a more detailed examination. But just now, Dr. Ire said it was nothing serious. And it didn't seem like anybody else was in the car with him. Oshi didn't say any more than that. I also said nothing more. The doctor just now examined a patient, close by. Only that. The noisy radio had suddenly gone quiet. The sky had just suddenly turned into an oppressive color. And Oshi mused that it might start to rain. A torrential downpour started, as though trying not to disappoint him. Eventually, Oshi stopped the car. The only sounds to break the silence were the percussion of the rain on the roof and the soft squeak of the windshield wipers. Let's do this bit hush-hush, shall we? Saying that in a quiet voice, he exited the car without an umbrella, careful not to make any noise. Oh, she leaned over, indicating the other side of the thicket. He was pointing to the prefabricated shed and a car that was parked beside it. The car looked obviously well cared for. It wasn't a vehicle that had been left there for several years. Wasn't that shed? It contains equipment used by the Forestry Service. I heard that they don't go near it except during the summertime. Does that car belong to somebody from the Forestry Service, then? Don't know. It doesn't look like an official vehicle, though. Oh, she was playing it cool, but my nervousness was gradually increasing. Just in case. Saying that, Oshi returned to the car. I thought he was going to get an umbrella, but he grabbed an onboard radio instead. Hello, this is Oshi. Do you read? Greetings, greetings. Yes, this is the Okinomiya SP. Oshi-san, we read you loud and clear. Over. I'm currently in front of the Forestry Service equipment shed. Not the one in the direction of Yaguchi, the one in Takatsudo. If you head there from Hinamizawa. Affirmative. Copy that. There's some suspicious people in the shed. Proceeding to investigate. If you don't hear back from me in 5 minutes, get in touch with the local police substation. Have them send a cruiser as soon as possible. If you would, please. Understood. Well then, shall we go take a look? Since he was the first confined there, he had heard the sound of the car multiple times, so he just thought it was a far-off sound was more of the same. However, the reaction from his captors was, until now, something he hadn't seen before. They jumped, reacting as if shocked by a jolt of electricity, and pressed against the window, cautiously peering outside. They stopped. Somebody from the Forestry Service? This is bad. Nah, looks like a cop to me. One of the captors lifted the boy by his collar and pressed the blade against his cheek. Hey kid, keep quiet for a bit. I think you know this, but if you try and shout, there'll be problems. Toshiki Inugai was sure that the doctor had reported things to the police. He had felt relief that he thought this was saved, but not imagining his captors would resort to violence when they were cornered, his anxiety remained unabated. What do we do? Gotta buy time. Take the kid, slip out of the back. We'll meet up back here when the heat's off. One of the perpetrators grabbed the boy by the collar and forced him to stand. Of course, Toshiki Inugai tried to resist by feigning his illness began aggravating by the rough treatment, but his captors paid no heed. Bang, bang, bang! The door was violently banged upon. Excuse me. Hello? Bang, 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 bang. The door was banged on again. Toshiki Inugai hesitated for a moment to respond to the voice by yelling. However, while he was being indecisive, his mouth was covered, taking the option away from him. The leader of the captors waved at the other to go. The younger perpetrator nodded in response, and while keeping the boy's mouth covered, started heading towards the back door. Yellow, ya need something? How do you do? This is the police. Would you mind opening the door? The sudden rain has us a bit of a trouble. The moment the lock was undone, Oshi forced the door open. And with a gleam of menace in his eyes, he pushed the man aside and stepped into the room. Then in the small and empty room, he was able to quickly discern that the boy was looking for was nowhere to be seen. I heard this was an equipment shed for the Forestry Service, but there's nothing here at all. There was nothing inside the room that would indicate that this was an equipment shed. The only mountain of blankets, indicating that somebody was sleeping here, alongside an empty food packets strewn about. It's been empty for some time now. Never seen no equipment store around here. But this is the Forestry Service building, isn't it? Are you from the Forestry Service? How about you, police? The two of them glared at each other suspiciously. Both Oshi and the man steadfastly refused to reveal their identity before the other did. The man, judging from the sharp look in Oshi's eyes, realized that it would hard talk his way out of this one. No matter what he said, the most time he could buy would probably only be a few dozen seconds. Only the sound of the rain filled this tense moment. Just then, they heard the sound of struggle far off. Oshi had a hunch. There was no doubt that Akasaka, who was circling around the back, had run into the perpetrators who were trying to slip away. As Oshi thought that, the man in front of him reacted a moment faster. The man swung with an attack that was more intended to obscure Oshi's vision rather than actually hit him with the face. Seizing his opportunity, the man aimed to kick Oshi's groin without hesitation, but he missed his mark and he was unable to land a critical blow. The man trying to pin Oshi grabbed him by the base of his neck with both hands and fiercely tried to push him down. But as Oshi fell backwards, as if kicking the man upward, he dug his foot into the man's midsection. With that leg acting as a fulcrum, the man was flung by the falling Oshi as if a circle throw. The two of them squared off in the pouring rain. Well, isn't this interesting? You wanna go? Oshi, as if trying to cheer himself on, grinned smugly, and then stood up, brushing the mud off himself. Even though he has countered an assault, Oshi was getting up rather awkwardly compared to the man who he threw, who swiftly sprang to his feet. Oshi-san! Hurry! Akasaka's voice rang out in the distance. Judging from the distress in his voice, he was already engaged in a fight and wanted Oshi to reconvene with him. But Oshi's hands were full as well. Nakasaka-san! Sorry, but can you wait a bit? The man raised both his fists in a stance and hinted at him being acquainted with karate or some other form of martial art. Of course, Oshi, as an officer of the law, was decently versed in judo. He also had the moxie to have been through his fair share of fights before. Because of that, he could tell that the man in front of him was quite a bit better at fighting than he was. Ah, damn it. Thinking that this was going to be easy just because the order came from the Sonozaki family to release the hostage had been a big mistake. You're pretty good. It's been a while since I got this worked up. Oshi played off the situation like it was no sweat. His opponent, seeing his attitude, took that to mean that Oshi wasn't going down so easily. The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab Oshi. If the man managed to successfully clinch from his low stance, Oshi would be tackled to the ground and end up being mounted. It was something you saw often when children fought, but it really was a bad position since you couldn't do much when you were in it. Oshi, responding to that move, also lowered his stance to collide with the man head-on. The moment they clashed, Oshi grabbed the man's lapel, and he yanked the lapel upwards, smashing the man's solar plexus with the elbow at the same time. It was a move from Oshi's own personal form of brawling judo. He then grabbed with his free hand and attempted to throw the opponent with both hands. But the man lowered his center of gravity and swung his arms in a large arc, entwining them with Oshi's. Not only that, but he had forced both Oshi's elbows to the outside, and Oshi now, in an awkward position, was in danger of exposing his back, with his hands still clutching the man's chest. This guy practiced Aikido or grappling, didn't he? Oshi, cursing the fact that his fingers were twisted into the man's shirt and couldn't get away, released his grip. But he was still in an awkward position of being bent over, and on top of it, at zero range. The man was able to read Oshi's movements completely as he tried to squirm his way into a better position. And then took the palms of his hands and swiftly clapped them over both Oshi's ears. Ah! Clapping the ears in either martial art except for self-defense was basically forbidden. Karate and judo didn't recognize it as a legal technique. It was that much of a simple and dangerous attack. A fight so intense it would make Goku cry, right? Oshi raised both his hands as he tried to reflexively clutch his own ears. But before that could happen, the man wrapped his arms around Oshi's neck. His thick biceps clutched firmly around the base of Oshi's neck like a vice. Oshi instinctively thought he was going to be killed. After all, it wasn't hard to believe that a man like this, would accustomed to fighting, could crush his opponent's neck from this position. But his opponent didn't do that. He had chosen to keep his hold force on Oshi's loose consciousness. That's why Oshi, at this moment, even though his face was twitching, was grinning widely. Even though his opponent had a chance to kill him, he didn't choose to. He was thinking, this guy has no intention of killing me. However, even through what might be the case, the man's hold on his neck was by no means gentle. In no time at all, Oshi's consciousness began to fade. Having the experience of being taken down countless times in judo during the student days, Oshi was utterly resigned to the fact that it was over. Akasaka was finally recovering from the intense pain of being kicked in a rather sensitive area. He had bumped into the captor carrying the boy at the back entrance. He had seen Toshiki Nugai's picture plenty of times, but wasn't able to immediately ascertain if the boy in front of him was the real deal. But with his mouth covered in the packing tape, and also with his limited experience, it wasn't hard for him to panic over how to deal with the situation. Of course, the perpetrator didn't overlook this momentary lapse. His kick landed squarely in a critical spot, with Akasaka not even having time to call for help. As the man flung the boy over his shoulder, he headed towards the front of the shed. But upon hearing Oshi's bellowing voice, he gave up on going in that direction. He then dashed off towards the forest. As if the weight of the boy slung over his shoulder wasn't even there, Akasaka was lost for a moment. Meeting up with Oshi, who was fighting the enemy, was by far the safer option. But he couldn't just lose sight of the fleeing man. Akasaka stood up and chased after the captor's back. He ran through the short thicket, branches and fallen leaves crunching underfoot. The tips of the branches raked and crawled under him. Small scratches inscribed themselves on his body one after another. He kept on stepping in puddles and mud, and his shoes were filled with murky water. For Akasaka, traveling through the unexplored forest was, even though this was an emergency situation, extremely unpleasant. Stop! This is the police! As he said that, he regretted it immediately, as it was but a waste of breath. There wasn't a thief in the world that would politely stop when told to by the police. To the city boy like Akasaka, running through this forest was an arduous task. However, it must have been no easy task either for a man carrying the minister's grandson. Neither gained nor lost ground in his pursuit. Akasaka, upon realizing that, gained a bit back of his composure. Just keep on chasing him. We were running in the same conditions. In fact, the man running with an awkward stride was at far more of a disadvantage. They couldn't run forever. Eventually, he'd definitely trip and fall. As long as he was being hounded, he would definitely stumble. And soon, his wish was fulfilled. Whoa. Whoa! The man who had stepped in something had lost his balance and no longer able to bear the weight of the boy dropping him. Akasaka, in all honesty, didn't care about the perpetrator at all, just as long as he could ensure the safety of Toshiki Nugai. So if the perpetrator ran off by himself, it was perfectly acceptable. But it seemed that Toshiki Nugai was important to the man as well, and didn't elect to just run away empty-handed. Akasaka didn't know what to do with this kind of situation. His first priority should probably be to ensure the safety of the boy. Subduing the captor was far less important. Grappling with the perpetrator wasn't something he planned on, but most likely it was either do or die. Akasaka's moment of indecision proved to be fatal. The man aiming right between him, or rather for both of Akasaka's eyes, struck out a jab. Not wanting that, Akasaka raised both his hands to shield his face, and at that moment, a man kicked out of the unguarded midsection. The pain almost felt like his vital organs were being squeezed out of his body, and he lashed on his opponent's leg. But his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Bleeding with his seized foot, the man jumped at Akasaka, applying pressure and pushing him down. Akasaka was unable to withstand that and fell, but under no circumstances was he letting that leg go. The two men fell together in a tangled heap. The man was desperate to pull his leg free from Akasaka, but having fallen in an awkward position, was unable to. The two of them rolled over on the ground, floundering about, trying to gain an advantage. But Akasaka, who was holding onto his opponent's knee with both hands, and that opponent, who had complete freedom to move his upper body, were in two completely different situations. The man gained a position advantage on Akasaka, who was still lashed onto his leg and couldn't move away, and pounded full force on his head with both fists. Not only that, he found a rock nearby and beat it against Akasaka's skull. The difference between being hit with a fist and being hit with a rock was vast. Akasaka quickly thought of letting go of the man's leg free with his hands to protect his head. But if he let go here, the man would get away. If he didn't dig in here, everything would be for naught. The boy he was trying to save was right there. He was going to save him and go back to Tokyo. If he could do that, then it was goodbye to his freakish village. Without looking, I could tell my forehead split open and was gushing blood. But I didn't let go of that man's leg. How could I? I won't let go. When the man realized that no matter how much he beat my head, he wasn't going to get away, he used both his hands to grip my throat as if to crush my windpipe. I pulled my head back as a slight form of resistance, but it was of no use. The man's hands enveloped my neck and began to crush it like a vice. It was less about the pain and not being able to breathe so much as it was choking so hard I felt like I was going to throw up. It felt like my stomach was going to turn itself inside out. But I could only endure it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. My throat, it hurts. I won't let go. I can't let go. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to resolve this. I wanted to go back to Tokyo. Go back to Tokyo. I want to talk to Yuki about our unborn child. We were going to talk about our bright future. I had no intention of losing my grip. However, it loosened just a bit, and the man's leg came free. The man kicked as hard as possible, and I tumbled backwards. My head was spinning, and I was unable to get up right away. No, I couldn't even put any strength into getting up in the first place. Even so, I couldn't back down. If I let him escape now, this chance would never come again. Even just catching their scent was nothing short of a miracle. If we weren't able to get the minister's grandson back here, there wouldn't be another chance. The man tried to drag the boy to his feet, but the kid was displaying some unexpected resistance, allowing me to get up unnoticed. I grasped the rock the man had beat me over the head with. Now it's my turn. Ugh. The rock should be able to supplement what my meager strength had left, adding more than enough power to my attack. My fist, still wrapped around the rock, dug into the side of the man's torso. This seemed like it hurt him quite a bit. Ugh. Gah. The man rolled around for a bit, clutching his side. Freed from the man's grip, the boy hid behind me. Toshiki, a new guy, right? I've come to help you. To the boy who was the words was waiting for the most. But the crisis was still not over. That was because even though he was still clutching at his side, the man had gotten up again and had taken a fighting stance. I could see in the man's eyes the resentment at the pain I had caused him, and the confidence that he could still beat me. If we were to clash head-on again, he might not even stop if my head split open. Stop resisting! Surrender quietly! You should just hand the boy over. Do you want me to snap your neck? Who'd listen to you now? Reinforcements are already on their way. There's nowhere for you to run. The man reacted adversely to the word reinforcements. That was because he now knew that arguing like this wasn't just a waste of time, but it was getting him closer and closer to danger. Realizing that, the man shifted mental gears almost too quickly. Then let's finish it fast. How about this? What? What the man pulled from his back pocket was all things a gun. Of course I'm a police officer. It's not like I don't know what a gun is. But having one pointed at me was something I'd never experienced before. Was it real? Of course it was. There's no way it'd be a replica in a situation like this. Put both your hands behind your head and lay down quietly. Don't get cocky, you villain. I won't do anything you say. You stupid idiot. Do you not know what this is without me shooting you with it? Then shoot. Reinforcements will hear the gunshot. Head right over here. Are you stupid? We're in the middle of the forest, and on top of that, it's raining. They'll never hear a thing. As long as he's had that gun, no matter how much I yelled at him, I was at a distinct disadvantage. But I still had a fighting chance. If I were in his shoes, instead of wasting time yelling at each other like this, I would have just shot him and take the boy. That way, with the fastest, and he would suppress any sort of further resistance from him. But the man was demanding my surrender, without having fired a shot, meaning that he either didn't want to shoot, or he couldn't. In other words, the man in front of me was soft. If I could buy even just a little more time, then the factors that would lead to my victory were numerous. Oshi was probably on his way, and the reinforcements he would call for before coming here should already be well on their way too. Not only that, they should have contacted the local police box. Without a doubt, somebody stationed in the village would be here and quicker than that. Damn it. Do I have to put a bullet in you just to understand how dangerous this thing really is? There's no escape. Don't add to your crimes. And at that moment, I heard the rustling of foliage and heavy footsteps approaching. If Hoshi was coming here, it was a whole new ballgame. The man couldn't have more than one gun. Hoshi-san! Over here! Over here! Huh? I had thought that the time was on my side, but I had failed to even imagine that the enemy could also have reinforcements. You could tell the man who has just appeared was one of the perpetrators just by looking at him. What are you doing? If you don't hurry up, police will get here. Stop lollygagging. Damn it. What happened to Oshi-san? That Shelby fella is down for the count. He is? Damn it. The boy, sensitive to the impending danger, curled up behind my back. How could this be? Damn it. Your buddy isn't coming. Serves you right. Shoes on the foot now. As I backed up against a large tree while still protecting the boy, the second man almost pulled out a gun. Won't be saying this twice. Put your hands on your head and lie down. I refuse. As I shouted in protest, blood erupted from my left shoulder. It took a few moments to register that I had been shot. Compared to the ones from in the movies and the TV dramas, the first actual gunshot I heard was simple and mundane. In fact, the sound was more akin to the small fireworks I used to buy from the corner store as a kid. But there was no comparing the pain. It was a fear you knew only after you'd been shot. Sir? Are you okay? Are you okay? The boy in his confusion tugged on my clothes, agitating the wound even further. I wanted to put on a bold face and reassure him, but my voice was hoarse and had the opposite effect. I'm alright. I've already called for backup. There'll be a full squad here soon. It'll be quicker to put on for your id for a cop's gear. But that family said no needless killing, so I'm taking it easy on you. Don't mess with me, or I ain't holding back. This was bad. It was very, very bad. The second man was a completely different beast than the first. He had no signs of indecisiveness or mercy. If this man said he'd shoot, he'd shoot. He wasn't somebody that a man like me could buy time from. I really hated to admit it, but at that moment, the image of Yuki's smiling face crossed the back of my mind. And I knew what that meant. I was warning myself to not throw my life away over a matter of pride. Of course, I didn't want to die here. I was just starting a new life with Yuki. I wanted to see the face of our soon-to-be-born child. Why should I risk my life for some minister's grandson when I was at such a critical juncture in my own life? Damn it, damn it. I need to stop rambling at myself. So what do I do now? Give up on the boy to extend my own life? What a good idea. Everybody's life is precious. My own life was in danger. Nobody would blame me. Damn it, it hurts, it hurts. If I had known it would be this painful, I wouldn't have played the tough guy. My biggest miscalculation, though, was that the sound of the gunshot was far quieter than I had imagined. If it was only that loud, it would be drowned out by the rain of the forest. It wasn't something that somebody far away could hear. Damn it. Wait, just wait. I don't want to die. And I don't want to kill you. As long as you understand. Don't shoot, okay? Don't shoot. I have a wife waiting for me at home. I don't want to die. I won't shoot you as long as you're done. Don't yell or nothing. Just quietly put your hands on your head and lie down. Will you really? Will you really? You'll keep your promise, right? This is a promise between men. I will. It's a promise between men. Keep your promise. Keep it. I'm gonna get down in the ground, okay? I'm getting down. I'll keep my promise, so no, stop pointing the gun at me. You're still thinking of shooting me, aren't you? You want to shoot me, don't you? When I get down on the ground, you're just gonna shoot me in the back of the head, aren't you? I won't. Fine. I'll put it away. I'll put the gun away. So a promise between men. There. No problem now, right? Yeah, absolutely no complaints. God! Ugh! It was over in a flash. The moment he lowered his gun, Oshi didn't let his chance slip by. Oshi had been assessing the situation for quite some time from behind the two men. But since they had their guns trained on me, he didn't really have a chance to jump in. Seeing the look on Oshi's face indicating that he wanted me to create an opening, I took that role completely. Oshi forcefully lifted an arm that was holding the gun. He then took the gun from the man's hand only in an instant. The other man, who was a bit slow in grasping what is happening, pointed his gun at them. But with his ally grappling with Oshi, he couldn't pull the trigger. If that man was the one that was wrestling with Oshi at the moment, he might have shot it without hesitation. But this man wouldn't shoot. He wouldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot. Oshi kicked the other man away while aiming the stolen gun with his left hand and pulling out his own. With guns akimbo? He was aiming at both men at the same time. I do believe that's checkmate. It was perfectly played. But heedless of the guns pointing at them, the men shouted, "Scram!" as they scattered away at full speed. It was over in an instant. Kimbo. Yeah, I got that one. I knew that one. Goddamn. I'm not stupid. Those two running away without putting up a fight was honestly unexpected. Oshi quietly clicking his tongue in admonishment, slipping both guns into his pants pockets. Those guys know their stuff. What do you mean? Just making sure. Thank you. I appreciate you, Muffin. I may be stupid, but I'm also dumb. Scatter! They're just like me, for real. Yeah, they are. An officer won't fire at somebody who's fleeing. I want to keep my pension here. Oshi and I grinned at each other. You, Toshiki, a new guy? The grandson of the Minister of Construction, a new guy? Yes. This is going to be a major incident. We probably only cut the tail off the lizard, though. I may be stupid, bottom text, listen. Oh. Wait, I'm enjoying the dichotomy between serious situation in the game and chat being down bad for men and judo wrestling out of the mud. Right? Oh boy. Oshi smiled amusedly. The fact that the Onikakushi Defense Alliance, or rather the Sonozaki family behind them, was pulling the strings was apparent, but proving it wouldn't be easy. I got one brain cell between the two of us. Goddamn. And with apologies to Oshi, this incident was unlikely to go public. If this caused an uproar, it would obviously lead to the minister losing his office. With HQ having decided that doing so was in the national interest, this would probably be cleaned up quietly. It might be a rough way of saying it, but this was born in the shadows and was gonna die in the shadows. Oshi probably already understood the implications behind this incident. For the time being, let's cordon. I know this word, shut up, hold on, I'm just bad at reading. Let's cordon off the area, since it seems that one of them still has a gun. Let's get Inugai-kun to safety and get you to the hospital. As the tension in the situation faded, the pain from the gunshot wound in my shoulder blossomed once again. My heart was also stinging painfully, and had grown hot enough to start a fire. Third tries the charm, thank you. Thinking that the tension had caused me to sweat, I wiped my forehead, but what came off was a large amount of blood. I realized that my shirt had been stained bright crimson from the blood flowing from my head. I turned around. The boy was safe and sound, without a doubt. There would probably be an investigation on the men who ran, but that was for another day. At this point in time, I could safely say we had cleared the major hurdle of securing the boy's safety. As soon as I recognized that, it felt like the lights at my head had been hit with a power failure. My knees buckled from underneath me, the ground there feeling as soft as a cloud. It didn't feel unpleasant, even as I was covered in the rain-soaked mud. Oshi came closer, asking if I was okay, but somehow I couldn't tell. I turned off the switch to the last light in my head. The exhaustion enveloped me. Sleep. Something softer than any blanket wrapped around me. We did it. End of the chapter, guys. Pachi, pachi, pachi. Achievement, mission accomplished. A daring rescue. Yay! What a chapter, right? What a chapter. We may be stupid. Taking a shower. Good luck with that, Ryusu. We may not be able to read bottom text. Yeah. Hey, a very kind person. Man, what a chapter. Bachi, bachi, pachi. Yeah, pachis all around. Pachi, pachi, pachi. Pachi, pachi, pachi. Very good, guys. Very good, very good. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? So, okay, this isn't me gaslighting. You all want to always say it's gaslighting, but let me just put this out there. Let me put it on the table for y'all. So, he was brought out here to find the missing grandson. And, Rika, remember, said, turn back now, you're just gonna regret it. So the fact that he found the grandson, what do you think she's talking about? So glad she showed back up to save the day. True MC. I can't even get that mad at you, because that was really cool. Yeah. I can't believe he had it in him to do that. How are we feeling after some random sweaty man fighting? Yeah, you know. Oh, she kind of a Chad, for real, for real. Pliskin, do not give that to Muffin. Do not. Finally, I've won. No! No, you haven't! Stop! No! Not the Oshi arc. No! Not! No! Bluma 38 Muffin, what? Stop! I'm giving it some. No! You weren't there. You haven't been there since day one, bro. Y'all remember in the last book when Oshi was actually the devil? A win is a win, Bluma. Oh my god. Yeah, you couldn't even spell brain cell. Get fucked. Haha. Krill issue. Got a krill issue on shrimpment. Huh. Anyway. Y'all remember when the third book was the best? I thought the third book is my favorite, I think. Get over time. My bad, first book. Oh my god. Oh my god. Y'all remember the first book? Oh. Whew. What a chapter, though. Oh, here's something else to just put on the table. Food for thought, you know. We got at least 2 more chapters in this book, I'm pretty sure. What else do you think happens? I mean, he got the grandson. That's who he was looking for. Oshi is a bad guy? Never. Bruh. Y'all remember the first... Nope. Just Oshi being the only thing keeping poor psychotic Keiichi alive. Yeah, you know what? Fair. Oshi did do work in the first book. But in the second book, he was just kind of annoyed at everything. And in the third book, he was the devil. In this one, he's alright. He came back to being I-8 again. Working his way back up, you know? Nothing bad. Yeah, nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys. Never punished, not once, not ever. Of course, of course. It was kind of a nice change of pace. Like, all the other chapters in this book have been, dare I say, kind of short. It was nice this one had some girth to it. Yeah, just like Bluma A, you know. Literally has never been punished. Not a bad first impression, to be honest. You mean Oshi? It's all coming up muffins. Goddamn. It's all muffin tops. Muffin tops from here, right? Oh my god, y'all ever have that snack just called muffin tops? It's like the company made muffins and then sawed off the top fluffy half and just served that. Muffin tops. Anyway. Maybe that's an American thing. Muffin tops, ayo, yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Whew. Whew, dog. Something else after that one. My throat kind of hurt. It's hard to like talk for like 2 or 3 hours straight. I don't know how some people do it. But also at the same time, they ain't stressing their voices. I feel like a lot of people who do those massive yap sessions, they most definitely are just talking regular, which I think helps. I am a top. Muffin's a top? Interesting. God damn. I just noticed the at Ryusu send proof. Top behavior. Alright, guys. Let me start wrapping it up there. Trusty. Oh my god. God damn. I don't even know what that word means. What the fuck was I even saying? I got so derailed. I'm gonna start wrapping it up. That's what I'm talking about. That was one hell of a chapter. It's true. One hell of a chapter. Explain it when you're older. Oh, thanks, man. Educate what that word means. Sure. I'm so say-so, guys. I'm so innocent and pure. I don't like it when you bring this audacity, this dirtiness to my good Christian stream. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. Tomorrow we're doing an art stream because it's been a while and I just really want to draw Salem. You drop this, Mr. Oi! We're drawing Salem tomorrow. I was gonna do a little bit of an art stream because it's been a minute since we had an art stream. You burn when we say bless you, there is no God. Here's off stream, goes back to Blythe. Honestly, as soon as stream's over, I am gonna be working on the thumbnail for Friday. It's gonna be it. The long-awaited True King lore stream will be Friday. I just haven't made the thumbnail yet. Aw, yeah, Salem time. Yeah. So yeah, I hope I can see you guys tomorrow. Of course, if I don't see you then, I will see you when I see you, okay, lamb chops? Okay. Alright, everybody. Hope you all have a good night. Good evening. Oh, bye-bye.